Hello, hello, hello.
The masala rice bowl.
Okay, hello everyone. Hope I am audible to all of you. Let's start with Intelli. Let's start with this new implementation, like the new topic. What we have is Hibernate. Okay, let's wait for 5 minutes. People are joining in. Then we'll go on. Okay. So the thing what we are going to start is what we call as Hibernate. Am I audible to all of you? I can do that. It's not that big. Hibernate is quite small. Okay. So I have got. We can try to complete that. Yeah. Thank you. So Java persistence with Hibernate. Now, so we are going to cover up like what is Hibernate, why Hibernate, what are alternatives to Hibernate, object relational mapping issues, and then we also have what is the Hibernate power of association. So this most of the things we don't have in our syllabus, but as when you're learning Hibernate as a flexibility, you should know about it. So Hibernate is an object relational mapping framework. It is famously also called as ORM. So when you listen to something about ORM, remember we are talking about Hibernate. Then in English, that means it provides tool to get Java objects in and out of DB. So it will also help you to get the database to other objects in and out of DB, and it does so without a lot of intrusion. So you don't have to know a lot of Hibernate API. You also do not know need to know a lot of SQL. So imagine you write a function dot save and something, and that function will store the data into the backend. So you don't need to worry about anything here. Getting my point? So that is what Hibernate will be. Why do we use Hibernate? So too much developer time is spent in getting data in and out of the database and objects. That is the Java object. So yeah, basically 30 to 70% of your developer's time normally goes in working with the data sets or working with the backend database. So it's a lot of query. We have spent like again in my career also I've spent a lot of time working on SQL. Does not make most of the time does not make any sense. So it is better that we make use of Hibernate like tools, which will do what? You write an object. That object will be, in fact, see if I talk about in our there is Hinduja. See, what ideally we will be doing here is we have got Hibernate. So let's say you have a customer object, a Java object of customer. You want to store it in your Postgres database. Okay, you have to store it in your Postgres database. Now what you normally do is composition decomposition. Here what happens in Java you have a customer object, correct? Some values. Here in backend you have the table. In backend you have the table. Now what you want to do when you want to store the data, what you do, you get the object, then you write a query, insert into something, correct? Then from this query you take one things, add it here. You take one thing, you add it here. You take one thing, you add it here, correct? That's what you are doing in objects. On other hand, when you want to fetch the data back and convert it back into an object, what you are doing, you take the data which is in the tabular format like this, and then you create an object, then you keep on setting here. You keep on setting. This is what you are doing in your object. Now this is what we call as composition, and this is what we call as decomposition. Yeah, this is what we call as composition, this is what we call as decomposition. So what you do basically here is you take this object, and you pass it out. You keep on like this way you're doing a lot of to and fro traffic, which is a problematic scenario. Why? Because here you're not like as a developer it's not your job to do that many. As a developer you're supposed to write the business logic, you're not supposed to take the object, break it into queries. So what they have done, they have created a framework for it. and that framework is nothing but we call as Hibernate. Okay. So Hibernate stated goal is to relieve the developer from 95% of common data persistent related programming tasks. Yeah. So Hibernate can also help your application to be more platform independent and portable. So, and Hibernate can help with performance. It basically generate the efficient query consistently. Now, what are the alternatives? Is obviously Hibernate is certainly not the only ORM framework. Very famous in the market today, and you know what? Behind the pictures, they have been talking with each other, and so that is something what we call as Java Persistence API, yeah, which was basically from Oracle. Then we have JDOs, then EJB container. IBetis is something also we use a lot. Toplink, Caster. So these are some alternatives to Hibernate. Now, why there are so many ORMs in the picture? Mapping objects to the relational database is hard. The two systems satisfy different needs. There are a number of obstacles to overcome based on differences like identity, granularity, association, navigation, inheritance, data type mismatches. So now, if you see identity, a row is uniquely identified from all other rows by its identity. In how do they do that in database? How do they do that in database? Can you tell me? How is a row uniquely identified in a database? By using primary key, right? And object identity doesn't always translate well to the concept of primary key. So in Java, what is an object's identity? It is its data or its place in the memory. So consider the following: are two objects equal or identical? Yeah, account A dot equals account B, and account A double equal to account B. Now this is Java core Java basics. Now this two has to be exactly same. Account A equals account B. That means they have to be identical. And if they are equal, they will be done using with equals method. Then again, granularity. Objects and tables are modeled with different levels of granularity. Like table structures are often denormalized in order to support better performance. Table rows end up mapping to multiple objects. Object tend to be more fine grained. Now see, when we are trying to do what, take an object, take a database, connect them both and do our work, obviously we have to make that mapping between them. So that mapping is majorly done using what, your like that mapping has to be taken care of. Then we have got the association. In the associations in Java are either unidirectional or bidirectional. Based on the attributes and assessors, cardinality is represented by complex type. Like for example, you know, we have got one to many, many to one relationship. Now, one school, one college can have multiple students, correct? Now, but one ID can have how many identifier to it? There is an Aadhaar card, right? Relationship between an Aadhaar card and person will be what, one to one or one to many? What will be the relationship between Aadhaar card? One to one to many? Relationship between a student, okay, and books in the library. How many books one student can acquire? So is it one to one to many? Okay. What will be the relationship between a college and student? So multiple, many to one, right? Many students can go to one single college. That is also we have under the connectivity. And then one student can apply for how many courses inside a institute, let's say. There will be many to many, right? Many students can go through. uh, yeah, Sufyan, don't worry, I'll that Gmail I've anyhow take it here only. Okay. So that will be your one-to-one relationship. Then databases tables is based on joins. There are no concept of directionality. Many to many require addition of join table and identity, especially foreign key identity greatly impacts the association. Now association example is what, customer to address. So option to consider: does address know the customer? No. Does customer have more than one address? No. So can an address be owned by more than one customer? So these are certain questions we can ask. For example, what is the database tables? So a customer to address or a customer. See, either I can have first name, last name, and so on, or the whole customer table can be into one single element. Yeah, like we have got all their address, and then their address can have. See, there are three ways here. First, a customer is having an address. So I am just taking what our address ID and then connecting it with my customer. Then I can have one single customer. So this is what relation? This is one to one relation. Now here, one customer is having all the data of the address also in its own entity. So we don't have any relation here. And then here, customer can have multiple addresses. So in that situation, what I can do is I can take the customer ID somewhere, address ID somewhere, combine them both. Yeah, that can also be done in this part. Okay, so this is something we can. We don't have these parts, but still I will explain you when we go ahead. Meanwhile, let me just quickly PCA syllabus, right? Did I add that PCA wala syllabus? Okay, let me just quickly pick up that syllabus thing, and then we can continue. So that we'll check. Also keep a check on what is to be done. Okay. Okay. So why Hibernate? Understanding ORM objects, persistent architecture, mapping document, database connection, creating persistent classes, mapping collection of object, persistent object lifecycle. Yeah, Hibernate with servlet, and we'll have to understand HQL. Okay, that's good. So, and what are the practicals associated with it? So, this is the table of employee, primary key, department, and so on. Write an Hibernate API to add an employee to the given table. Write an Hibernate API to update the name of the employee. Write an Hibernate to update, delete an AP employee. Okay. Write a Hibernate API to get all working in IT department using HQL. Write an Hibernate API to all who joined after 2016 using criteria language, and write an Hibernate using projection. So no worries, we can simply try to complete all this practical. See, these are all related simple practical with the employee ID, like a table of employees, so we can work with it. Okay. So how we implement this part now? How do we implement? Go ahead and implement this part. So let me just quickly take this. Okay. So based upon what we were learning now, let us go back to our PPT. So see, we don't need to worry about the inheritance part right now. So what are the data types available here? Even simple types are not easily mapped between Java and major relational databases. So mapping example is what? Like Java type is string. It can be connected to varchar, character, long varchar. Big decimal can become numeric. Big decimal can become decimal. See, you need to understand here. Are you like getting the basics of it? Can you quickly let me know in the chat box? Are you understanding like why we are going to make use of Hibernate? Hibernate basically क्या कर रहा है ना, आपका जावा का कनेक्टिविटी सीधा कर रहा है बैकएंड से, बट विदाउट यू रिक्वायरिंग टू ऐड समथिंग मोर इनसाइड इट. लाइक आप लोग को उसमें कुछ लिखना नहीं है, आपको क्या करना है, जावा का कोड लिखना है. Can we use Apache NetBeans? No, no, no. You cannot use Apache NetBeans in practicals, Shruti, because we have set up everything with IntelliJ, right? All our training has happened with IntelliJ. So even today, I will show you how to work with IntelliJ on this one. Any problem with IntelliJ, like, because it is set up, so if you want, I can release some, like, we have already see the practicals, all of the practicals what we are doing are done on that basis itself. So don't worry, we'll like, I have set up everything for you in that our application. Yeah. So in fact, Hibernate provide all several options in most cases to allow you to handle them in variety of ways. The database may come before the application. The application may drive the deployment, and the database in the application must be integrated. Simple example of Hibernate code. See, consider there is a customer class. Yeah, we have got all the setter getter. So let's examine a simple example. So here we have a customer class in the right. Here what I'm doing is I am taking all my name, ID, name, gender, date of birth, and so on. Then how do we create and save that? So in the make customer object, what we do, I'll create the customer object. I'll create the customer object. Now here, if you see, there are some classes. One of them is what? Session factory. How do we create a session factory? Now you tell me, how many one pen is created by one factory? 1,000 pen will be created by how many factories? For creating this one pen, I required one pen factory. For 1,000 pen, how many factories will be required? Anyone? One pen, one factory. 1,000 pen, how many factories? One only, right? So 1,000 pen will be one factory. So here what we do is, session factory is basically where we generate the session, and once we open the session with the backend, we can pass our transaction and see, have I written any line of query here? Have I written any line of query here in this code? I just created a customer object, set some things, that's it. So here we create the transaction, we commit it, and that's how we save the application. So let us try to do that first. Okay, let us try to work on this application. So what I do is, let me go to IntelliJ. So in my IntelliJ, now this time I have to start it with a new project. And in this new project, what am I going to do is, let me call it as Hibernate app. Okay, this is a Maven based project. This is a Maven based project, so I am okay with that. And I will keep this project in my Hinduja directory. So let me go and find my Hinduja directory for now quickly. Okay, Hinduja corporate. Yeah. So in this directory, I will add my Hibernate project, and I'll keep it with Maven. Build system is what? Maven. So I say create, and I'll open it in a new window. So here I have got src main test pom.xml. Now, obviously, because I am working with Hibernate, I have to do now, what is that I'll have to do is, I'll have to configure my Hibernate. So I'll go to pom.xml, and in my pom.xml, I will have to write my dependencies. So what are the dependencies we use? Like, first dependency will be what? I will have to make use of my dependencies here, and between my dependencies, I'll have to add my dependencies of Hibernate. These are my Hibernate dependency, and these are my Postgre dependency. See, as a help to you, what I can do is, I will ask Arun sir, during the practicals, all these dependencies I will keep it available in a file. So whenever you are required to work with a file, you just need to go there and copy the dependencies in your application. Okay, how does that sound? So you will not have to write the dependencies again and again. That is what I can do for you at max. Okay. So obviously, it's not possible for us to remember all those dependencies. Earlier, we used to keep those files available. So now what I have done is, I have added the dependencies. If anyone is following along, I will post these dependencies in the chat box. Let me see if that can happen. No, this cannot happen. I can commit and say added dependencies. Let's commit and push. So now to define the remote. So this time I will quickly create a repo. Hinduja Hibernate app. Okay. So I create this repo and I will give you this repo if anyone is following along with me. They can do that. Anyhow, later on also you'll understand in what order I have added. So I'll define my remote. Okay, push. So in the pom.xml, you will be able to check what all dependencies I have added here and that get resolved. Now, the next step is I have a table in the backend, right? They have said I should be having a table in the backend. But before that, what I need to do is in my src main, I have got a resources folder. Now, because I am working with Hibernate, remember one thing, you have to write a configuration file. And that configuration file is basically what we call it as Hibernate. This name cannot change. Hibernate.cfg.xml. Hibernate.cfg.xml. Now, under this hibernate.cfg.xml, see, I will give you a common code which is like a configuration code. Now, how do we add this configuration code? See, yeah, how do we add as a configuration code? Is simple. Now, this is my Hibernate configuration. This is my session factory. So, what is my driver class? Postgre driver. What is my connection URL? This is something we'll have to change. Then I have to give my username, password, and then the dialect. Okay. So, what I'll do is I'll open my PG admin now. Let us open our PG admin. And under our PG admin now, let us first create that employee table. Let us first create that employee table. Okay. Okay, just give me a minute by the time it starts. Okay, so here I already have a database which we created for you, right? Which was what Hinduja 2020 and this one, correct? I had this for you already. So next, what I can do is under my schemas, public, I had my tables, correct? You are well versed with this thing now, right? I think you should be well versed with Hibernate now. Yeah. So what I'll do now is go back where in my table and create a new table now. Let us call the employee table, or we can have our query which is here listed. Let me get the create table query. Okay. So what I have done in my resources itself, I have added my create table. Sorry, employee dot SQL. So in case later if you want to try this out, you can. check this table of query, and what I do next is, so I copy this, go to my Postgre, then in my table I go to the query tool, paste it, and execute. That way, now my employee table is created. See, employee table with what are my columns? ID, name, department, designation, salary, date of join. Okay. Then what I do, so this is what we created for this. Now, what is the first thing they have asked us to do? Yeah, what is the first thing they have asked us to do? First is what we have created a Hibernate CFG XML file. Now, what is the next thing? We have to set up our application. Yeah, we have to set up. So we have set up the configuration file, that is 100% okay. In that configuration file, what is the thing I need to change? I need to change the name of my database. So it will become what? Sorry, Hinduja underscore 24 underscore 25, right? What is the name of the database here? It is Hinduja underscore 24 underscore 25 underscore ty underscore ty. Okay. Then what is my username here? It is going to be what? Postgres. And what is my password? Normally I use admin as my password, so this should be able to connect with my admin. Now, in my Java directory, this is where I will create a package. Let me call that package as com.code with Z. And under this package, I will create one more package, and let me call that thing as entity. Like I am talking about an entity here. So under the entity now, I will create a class by name of employee. Okay. And how do we create that? So first we give them an annotation called as what? Entity, which comes from javax.persistence. Okay, which comes from javax.persistence. Then I say at table. So here I am connecting with the backend now. This will be what? Name is equal to what is the name of my table in the backend. So this is how I am telling them that my connection will be there. This is how my connection will be there. Okay. Mm, Okay, so I added my employee table here. Now, what do I do next? How many variables do I have here? I have got private int ID. Then I have got what? Private string name. Then I have got what? Private string department. Then I have got private string designation. Then I have got private double salary. See, earlier what used to happen now, we have to write an XML file for connecting these two. But now, because of this, we can simply just say private date of join, and this date come from java.time util.date. Okay, we are taking this date from java.util.date. So at this point I have to specify what is my primary key and so on. So for that I will say at id. I'm telling them that this particular thing is my id, and then how do we generate the value for this? So it is a generated value, where my strategy is what? Strategy is generation type of identity. So generation type identity does what for me? Generation type identity, it will just keep on increasing the id for me. Then string name at column, and then ideal is what I'll say, name is equal to what is the name in the backend. I will say name. Then I'll say at column, name is equal to what is the name in the backend for this. What is the name in my backend table for this? So see, we have got what here: id, name, department, designation, salary, date of join is all in lowercase, else they are of same name. So I'll say dept department. Then in designation, at column, name is equal to designation. Then at column, name is equal to salary, and at column, here we have got name. See, this time you have to, when you pass it in the column, you have to specify what exactly is your exact type of your column name. Yeah, so this time you are writing it as what? Date of join in lowercase, because in the backend it is in lowercase. And then you say at temporal. Why? Because temporal will allow us to do what? Will tell them that this is a different type of field which is we are using for date type now, so it will convert it according to the backend. Then we generate the setter getters. So here I will say generate setter and getter for all my fields. I will generate setter getter for all my fields. All these fields setter getters are generated. And then one more thing, what I will generate here is a toString function, so that if I print it, I'll generate a toString function, so that if I print it, it will give me all my details. So I have added my employee class. And okay, I think we don't need any more dependencies here anymore. Now the entity is created. Now based on this entity, what is the first thing they have asked us to do? Yeah, what is the first thing they have asked us to do is, see, as per the requirement, what is that? Write a Hibernate class to add an employee to the given table. Yeah, right. Add an employee to the given table. So let us write that. So in my code with Z, let me create a new package. And see, we don't need entity anymore. So I will write a file, new Java class, and let me call it as add employee. Okay, and I don't want to put it inside entity. In fact, I want to put it inside my Java. So okay, so I create a new package first, pom dot. Okay, why is this not working? Java employee. We had another package, a new package. Let's say Hibernate. Okay, so this is inside my entity, and I will now create a Java class here outside. Let me call it as add employee dot Java, and I'll delete it from inside. I will delete this one from inside. Let me delete it from here, and I don't need this Hibernate wala package as well. So I also delete it from here. Okay. So in my add employee, what I want to do is I will start with my application now. I will start with my application. So here I will first make use of settings. How do I do that? I need to have a session factory. I need to have a session factory. So how does that session factory comes up now? Yeah, how does that session factory? Because we need a session factory first. So first, let us write our main method. Main. Inside this main, I start with a try catch block. Okay. So, cover, scenes cover. Okay. So in my try block, what I do, I say session factory, and I have to import this from this one. So I say factory, session factory is equal to new configuration. Yeah, Hibernate configuration. And see, or before that, what we can do is we can simply create a configuration object. Configuration CFG is equal to new configuration dot configure. And then once I get that configuration, I can simply just say CFG dot build session factory, CFG dot build session factory. And from this session factory now, yeah, from this session factory, I can simply create a session. Yeah, I can create a session. So I can say what session from my factory org hibernate session is equal to session factory dot open session. So it will connect with me with the backend. And once I am connected with the backend, what will I do? I'll start with the transaction. So at this point, let us try to execute this. And I say e dot print stack trace. So till this point, if it is able to connect with backend, I will be able to get my session object. So there will be no problem here. Let's see if anything is wrong here. Okay, it says add no class form. Why is that so? Hmm, public static void main could not load or find the main class. Okay, so it says could not load or start the main class. Why is that? What was my package name? It was com.code with z, com.code with z, which I created, right? It is inside Java. So Java have this com.code with z. I'll do what? As a safe side, just shift it outside both of them. And I'll delete this package for now. Okay. And then I will just execute my file. So this is my Java SDK. I will just build my project. Let's see what happens after this now. This is my add employee and I run this file. Still it is giving me same thing. Okay, let me go to file, project structure. I think I made some mistake while making this. Okay, it is where it is my project structure. Then I go to modules. and under my modules, someone said assistance. Okay, you're also doing okay, no problem. Sorry, I just saw the messages. So sorry for that. I am not talking on Josefa. I'm not talking on Google Meet at all. I'm just using that for attendance, both the places. That's it. Apart from that, I'm not using anything in there. Now the problem is it loading now in? Yeah, it's loaded, right? I will share this again. Let's see if you are any one of you is able to find that issue. I'll create a new package. Let me call it as com dot code with z, and I will move both the files inside employee. Sorry, inside my code with z package. Hmm, I think I made certain mistakes here. Let me just quickly do that. In code with Z, I'll create a new Java class, call it as employee, paste it here, that employee, and on the top, let me add my package com dot code with Z. Okay, and then when I try to build and run this file for add employee, let's see what happens. Yeah. It is loaded on GitHub, right? Let me just quickly check for you. By any chance, have I kept it private? No, it's a public repository. See, I've posted the link again. Just check that. And I will add these codes also in a minute. Yeah, just let me figure it out why it is not working. It says it's not as a Java application. The file is saved. My autosave is on, so that's not a problem. Run and I'll check the configuration. अरे, क्या बोलना तो क्या? I think something has went wrong in this application. My files are deleted or what? I cannot find any file also here. If I close them all, The I cannot see my project also. If I open, see, rather than spending so much time here, what I'll do quickly is I have all the codes. I cannot find that file also. Somehow I think my file got deleted. Something has happened. Let's see. I'll go to my directory. It was my TY Java projects Hibernate app. Okay. Has it got deleted or what? We have the files. Still, it is not loading them up. It's not loading those files. Okay. Rather than spending so much time here, let me create a new project quickly and let me call it as Hibernate app 1 one. I'll still do the same thing, Maven project, and in the setting I know it is com.code with Z. So this is quickly like a refresher for you what we have done, and it will build it quickly. Then in my pom.xml, I will have to add my I will have to add my see. I'll open these files quickly, copy paste what I have done. So I will just quickly go and add my dependencies, which is here. So I go to Hibernate 1, I paste my dependencies, reload it. Step 1, this is what we did. I think there was some disk corruption or something on that particular folder. No, no, that is fine. The build is fine. What is your name, Smoky Gamer Zone? Like I don't. You just tell me your name. I'll address you by name. So what is happening here is we have got our dependencies. In the dependencies, I have added now, as we have discussed, in your resources, I will add a file. Yeah, what was the file? Hibernate. Okay, Tilak. Dot cfg dot xml. Under hibernate.cfg.xml, what am I going to do is this time src main resources. This will also I open with VS Code and I copy paste, then same thing. And you know what? I'll give you this code access so that you don't have face any problem. And also I have added a file employee.sql. So under my employee.sql, what can happen next is I will also open this with VS Code for now. So this is how I've created my table. I'll add all of them later. Okay. Then under my Java, I will create a package. Call it as com.code with Z. And under this package, I will create two files. New Java class, let me call it as employee, and another Java class, let me call it as add employee. And based on these two classes now, yeah, based on these two classes, I will pick up that code from my the previous application which I had. So here I had my add employee. Copy this. This was in my add employee package com.z, and this was under my employee, which was for employee class. So copy pasted, no problem at all. So my application is up and ready now. And as a safe side, what I'll do is I'll go and delete this Hibernate app directory first, because mm, do I have it? Yes. Okay, then I will create a new repo here quickly, or let's call it as Hinduja Hibernate app. Okay, because that was I deleted earlier. So till this point, let me give you the project flow in the repo. So I will go to my commit, and here I say added employee and add employee. Okay, I'll commit and push, and after I commit and push this time, I'll define my remote. Okay, and push. So now if you go and check your code, it should be available with all these things. Can you please quickly confirm whether you're able to access this? Are you able to access this? Can you confirm that quickly? Okay, perfect. Now if I go back, so I'll delete this previous app now. Here, I'll try to run my employee. I hope this works this time. Yeah, it's finish financing. Okay. See, this started and we have connected with the backend now. This is what it is saying. If you look at the code, you see we have connected username properties, everything has been connected now. Now, based on this, what I have to do is I have to take care of my addition code now. So I need to add the employee into the backend, right? I need to add the employee to the backend. So for doing that, what will I do is let's start a transaction here. See, transaction is like a single unit of work. Okay, transaction tx is equal to session dot begin transaction, and then I create a new employee object which I want to store. So employee is equal to new employee dot set name. Yeah, let's say name is Tom. Employee dot set salary $5,000. Employee dot set department is, let's say, IT. Employee dot set designation is, let's say, your developer. Then employee dot set date of join, new java dot util dot date of what are the parameters available. Okay, I can say, let's say, 2023. Then February. Then let's say 23 February. Okay, and then I say session dot save what employee. And for this to happen, I have to commit my transaction. So I'll say transaction dot commit, and then I'll say session dot close. So after I am able to commit it, I can simply just go and say system dot out dot println employee added successfully. Okay, let us see if that happens now. So now if I run this, okay, there was an error exception basically. It says line 28 session dot save mapping exception unknown entity com dot code with z dot employee. Okay, why is that? Okay, I have to do one mapping. Like I have to go in my config file. Okay, my bad. I have to go in my config file after I have done everything before I end my session factory. And here I need to tell mapping about a class. And what is my class here? Com dot code with z dot employee. So I need to specify my mapping here. And now if I try to do add employee again, this time, see now insert into employee these values. And if I go to the backend and if I say show me the top few employees, see, so Tom, IT developer, all the value. Now date of join has become a bit different. Let me see that how I can fix that. But apart from that, all the data has been added very successfully into the backend. Now what I'll do is I'll make a commit here. Add employee completed. Okay, so my add employee is completed, and you can find that this data has been added into the backend. Understood how we have done this? Understood? Okay, is that case employee and no, table name is employee. See, E is lowercase. Hurry, the E is lowercase, right? If you have given it purpose on purpose, if you have given uppercase here, you'll have to use uppercase, but not the other way around. Okay. Hope this is clear. Yeah, I hope this part is clear for everyone. Like those who are watching, you can check it out from here. So this is your Hibernate practical number what? 8.1, now 8.2, 8.3. Write an Hibernate API to update the name of the employee at ID 1. But before that, let me insert like 5, 6 employees here. Yeah, let me insert 5, 6 employees here. Okay. Okay. So let's say Tom, Alex. This time I take 6,000 IT, and let's say he's a manager. And then date is an issue for us now. For now, let's see how we can fix it. What was the date inserted in the backend? It is 23. Year is not coming properly, right? Year is not coming properly. Let's say 2022, and then they have joined in March. Let's say they have joined on 3rd March. So this time I execute it again. So that also gets in, no problem. Tom, Alex, Mike. Let's say I only have, do I have any question for department related data? Okay, an HR department. Okay, so this is also fine. So we'll just use some different department also this time. Let's say this is an HR manager and has $10,000 salary. 2021 April, 12th April. Okay, so I execute. I add some values. Okay, and then Michael, Tom, Alex, Mike, John. John is, let's say, at 9,000 salary. They are also in HR. Joined in December, say 90. So I execute this. So now I have got how many employees in the backend? I've got certain number of employees. If required, I'll add more. So I execute this now. I have got two IT, two HR. So I've got some data in my backend. Now, based on this data, what is our next question? What is our next question? Write a Hibernate to update the employee, the ID of employee at ID 10. Yeah, we can use faker, Tilak, but see, for understanding here I can use, but I am just showing you in case if this comes in practical, what will you do, right? At that time, you will not be having internet access a lot to use faker. So better understand how to add three or four records here, right? So we do that. Then next is what I will write code to update employee. Now update employee requires you to first load the employee. Your update employee will require you to first load your employee into the backend. So for doing that, what we do next is okay, where is my code for adding employee? Okay, for updating the employee, we first fetch the employee. Yeah, we first fetch the employee, and most of the code till the transaction part will remain same. So I can go to add employee, copy my configuration part. Do I have? I can add my try and catch exception e e dot print stack trace. So now what I do is I copy my configuration till transaction, because we are in the same application, no problem at all here. Then what I do when I want to update my employee, I will say I will fetch the employee first, but this time see I'm not writing a single line of query here. Everything is happening from the code. So employee is equal to session dot get, and we tell them that I want the data of employee dot class. We need to specify and for what ID. So this time, what is the ID I will get here? Consider they said ID of 1. So I'll say ID of 1. I get the employee object. First, let me, if I can say if employee is not equal to null, if employee is not equal to null, first thing first I'll do is what? Console out println. I'll print that employee. Okay. Let me see if this much works. So I run my update employee. It goes to the backend, brings the data. Yeah. See, ID 1, name is Tom, ID 3, and okay. Now what I want to do is update this name to Thomas. From Tom, I want to convert it to Thomas. So what will I do? This is before update. Then I do employee dot set name, and I add Thomas, and then I say session dot update employee. So what will happen now after I do this, and then I say transaction dot commit. So after I do this, the before this what was it, and after this we'll see, go and see, check it in the backend. So before I came in here, before it started, what was the name? See, what was the name? Tom. But now if I go and check my backend, what has the name become? Thomas. So this is how you update an employee object. So I'll commit and I'll say update an employee completed. Okay, just give me 1 minute. I want to give you some better options here. Okay. Okay. So if we go back, just give me 1 minute. I have to bring in something for you, the documentation which can help you out for moving ahead. Meanwhile, I have posted these changes into the Git repo. You can check it out there. We'll do one more code for deleting as well. Okay. So now what we want to do is want to delete the employees. So deleting the employee, how will we do that? Same way, like what we have done earlier. This time we have completed first three practicals. Now it's time for next three. No, sorry, first two are done. Now we have to do what? One more, which is what? Delete employee. New Java class. Let us call it as delete employee. Under my delete employee again, what I'll do? I'll go to update, pick up for my from my main. I will pick up everything from my try catch. So I will go here, say main, and under my main, this is what I have done for update. Let me not do this for update. Let's say I want to delete. I want to delete person at ID 4. What will I do? I'll get the employee. Rather than doing set name and delete, I'll do what? Session dot simply delete. See, this is how simple the difference is. And this will just delete my, after if this works fine, this will delete my employee from the backend. So I execute this, and deleting from the employee, and that employee is gone. So the session have a method called as delete as well, which will just simply go and delete that object for me. So how will I do that? Go back to Postgres. If I fire, so I should not be seeing John anymore. See, John is gone now. Okay. So now if you go and check what is next, I have to write a Hibernate query language to get all the employees working in IT using Hibernate query language. So for doing that Hibernate query language, see, Hibernate query language is a very simple form of language. But remember one thing: when we make use of HQL, when we make use of HQL, which is Hibernate query language, we are basically querying the class rather than database. So your class name is like employee E uppercase, right? So when you write it, you will write the query as what? From employee E uppercase. You need to remember that. For example, where you want to find where date of join, how have you written date of join? Date of join. So this time you will say where date of join with O uppercase. So with something, okay? So now what I want to do is, you tell me how do I, like, what is that? I want to find the query. So here I will write a Java class. Let me say get all department. Oh, sorry, get all. What is the question here? Get all people in IT department, right? Yeah. Get all IT employees. In this part again, I will start with my try catch. This part also I'll start with my try catch first. So I go to main, and then I start with my try catch. This time I don't pick up this employee, this I don't pick up this if block. What am I doing here is I have my transaction. I don't even need the transaction here because I'm not storing anything. So what do I need? I will simply have my HQL query. So it will be what string HQL is from employee, that is the date name of the table or name of the class, where how have we written department dept, department is equal to it, where department is equal to it. Then I do what? Because there is a query, I have to write a query object. So I'll have to say query for, and what it is going to return, it is going to return the employee. So I say employee, and what is this query? So it will say session dot create query. What is the query? HQL. And what it will return of what type? Employee dot class. So it will return me all the things from employee dot class. I cannot hard code it here, so I'll say single quotes, single quotes. So this is, it is iterating my HQL query. Then that query I can give what? I can get a list. So I'll say list of employee, which I'm getting from java.util.list. So list of employees is equal to query dot list. And then for employee e in employees, what will I do? System.out.println e. And now I execute this. So I write my query language, get it into the query object, and see how many employees do I have. I have got two employees in IT department, so Alex and Thomas. So what we have done here is we have taken HQL, fired the query, and executed this. Taken the HQL. You're not getting the autocomplete thing. I don't know how, why is that not working. It used to work earlier, right? It used to work earlier, correct? Okay. So I will push this to the repo. Okay. So get all IT employee. See, it can be a possibility that, but it is not something possibility. It works in community edition. I have worked a lot on community edition. Just check that GPT से पूछो ना भाई क्या नहीं दिखा रहा है क्यों नहीं दिखा रहा है Intellisys. If type IntelliSense, it will tell you why it is not working. Okay. Now, what is, you want me to wait for 5 minutes for you to complete? You want me to wait for 5 minutes for you all to complete this? No problem. I will just add you up here. No problem at all. No worries. You can work here. Okay. Now we have got next two questions. Let's go to that. Okay. Next is what was the next question we had? Write a Hibernate API to get all employees who joined after 2016-01-01 and work in HR department. See, these dates are quite tricked up here. Uh, I can simply just go and change the date. Let's say I make the change to 2023. Let's say this is what 2022, and let's say this is 2021. Okay. So I want to check what was the okay. So what was the question here? Is find those people who work in HR and have joined after 2016. So let's say for understanding purpose, I add one more person here. I add John back in HR department, and I add them in 2020. Okay, just for understanding purpose, and I run this code. So this time John is okay. So now I have added John, and let me just put him in 2020. Okay, I put him in 2020. So now my output should be what? Mike. Instead of 2016, I'll check for 2021. So those who have joined after 2021 and are in HR department, I should only get Mike. Okay, that is what my output should be. In the even if it is a list, that is what my output should be. So what I do next is I go to my okay, where is my code? Yeah. So this time I want to check my output, but they have like they see there is one more thing we have added here using Hibernate criterion query language. Now I don't even want to add the query, but there are certain classes which will allow me to add this query. How can I do that? So for that reason, I say Java class, and let me call this as what get employee with h get employee with criteria. Yeah, with criteria query language we call them. And under my criteria query language, what do I do? Main. Under my main, for getting all my employees, I have this try catch block, and under employee criteria I paste it. Okay. Now this time what I do is I don't need this HQL. This time what I'll say is I have a criteria. Okay, I will have a criteria. So first what we do is we create a criteria. How is that? Criteria in Hibernate. Yeah, I create a criteria in Hibernate. Then let me call it as criteria. What is the criteria to pick up my data? So first I'll say session dot create criteria. And what is my criteria here? I want it for employee dot class. Now this is equivalent as doing from all. Yeah, this is equivalent as doing from everything. So create criteria, and this should give me a criteria for okay. Why is this crying? Okay, just let me check my one of the previous application codes. Let me check my previous application. Just give me a minute. Yeah, it creates the criteria with the session. Why it is crying now? Yeah, criteria is created like this here. Oh, it has to be create criteria, not create query. My bad. Create criteria. Okay, so it will create a criteria for me. After I create my criteria, I can add my restrictions. What are my restrictions? Criteria dot, yeah, what is the restrictions? That criteria dot add. So what is the criteria I'm adding? There is a restrictions criteria. Restrictions dot see greater than. Date should be greater than what? So here I have got date of join based upon my class, and what should be the value? Java dot SQL dot date dot value of, and what is my date here? 2021 hyphen 01 hyphen 01. So anyone who have joined after this date, that is my first criteria. Yeah, that is my first criteria, and I can change this. I can keep on chaining here. So I say dot add criterion restrictions dot, what was the next thing? Equal what department by what name? HR. So I create the criteria, and then I create a list of employee where I have got what? Employees is equal to criteria dot list based upon what we have created. And now again I do what? For employee of employees system dot out dot println e. I should get only one object out. That is my plan. That is something I should get. So if I execute this, what do I get? Got the criteria, the query will be fired, and only one, Mike, because Mike was the only one who have joined after 2021 and who is in IT department. So this is working perfectly. Now see, in the previous one, I got an option of writing the query. This one, I am writing my criteria in a programmatical way. Yeah, I'm writing this in programmatic way. So get all HR employee using criteria, or also called as HCQL. Yeah, we also call them as what? HCQL. Now the last part, last practical in your Hibernate is what? Write a Hibernate API, which will, it will be, where we'll be able to find the maximum salary in IT department using projection. What will be the query for this? Let's say if you're supposed to fire this query, I give you 2 minutes. What will be your query for this then? Can you help me out? Okay. Anyone? What will be the query for this? So basically, we'll do what? In criteria, we'll set max salary 6,000, and no. I want to find out. See, Tilak, I want to find out what is the maximum salary in IT department. So how will we set that criteria now? Let's go back to IntelliJ, and this time this is what we'll add: max salary in IT. And again, let me copy paste from criteria this time. So under my main, copy this. So I go to my main, paste it. This time, what I need to do is that criteria is bit different. So let's start again from here at this point. First, I'll create the criteria. So I'll say criteria. Criteria is, what is it? Session dot create criteria for employee dot class. Step one. This is as equivalent as getting all. Then I say in my criteria dot add, yeah, dot add, what do I want to add? The restrictions for equal, which is what? Department, which is what? IT for me. So I add the first criteria here. And then on the same criteria, I set my projection, yeah, which will set my projection. So which will return me what? So I add criteria and then I set my projection. Projection is for getting what is the maximum. So I'll say there is a projections object, projections dot max of what? I have got salary of max. Then let's take it out. So because we have stored it in double, I'll say double max salary is equal to criteria dot unique result, and it will return me an object. So I'll have to cast it as, I will have to cast it as what? Double, so that it's available. And then I can say system.out.println max salary in IT is plus max salary. So if I execute this now, see it is 6,000. So I get a very perfect output here. And this is my projections. Get max salary in IT for in IT. Yeah, using projections. Okay, just as a, what you can say, flow part. Let me do what? On top of it, what is this number? Practical number is 8.1. Then update employee is what? 8.2. Delete employee is what? 8.3. Then get all employees is what? 9.1. Then criteria is what? 9.2. And max salary in IT is what? 9.3. And if I push added practical numbers, so I will commit and push this. So you will get all this now on our repo, right? This will all be available on the repo with proper practical numbers. So I hope things are sorted now. And this is your this, and you want this PPT also, right? I have that PPT. Let me quickly just convert it into a PDF. This is Hibernate app 1. So here only I will add this PDF and I will say commit added notes. So commit and push this. So if you check your repo now, you should be having this PDF as well, which is fine here. So this is the final link for the repository, which you can pick it up from here. Okay, I hope this is what we have done. So next session we'll meet for Spring and Spring Core and Spring MVC. Okay, thank you. So if you can just add your roll numbers in the chat box, will be awesome, and then we can drop off. Okay, thank you so much. Okay, thank you.